Hey there, fellow Robonauts. Welcome to Planet Robot. That's www.planetrobot.space. If you're listening to this, it means you are already here. Up on the top of our page, we have a new tab called Club Soda. That's Club and then SOTA, which means state of the art. This is a comic strip that we publish weekly about four brother robots that escape the government and live together in suburban society pretending to be humans. If that intrigues you at all, please check it out. We publish it every single Sunday. Again, please go and check it out. And subscribe, follow our Patreon. Currently, there are 6 comics out there in backlog, so if you are bored and you need something to do, go read our comic. We sometimes publish them also on Instagram and Facebook. Now on with today's interview. When he was a boy, after church, his mother would always take him to a bakery. It was a fond memory that later became incorporated into his work in a big way. But before that, his parents took him to a Van Gogh exhibition. This opened his eyes to the world of art. He took classes with his sister and by first grade had already begun to impress his teachers. Then after high school, he went to the Academy of Art in San Francisco. For a decade he worked for others, making their work and their ideas. It wasn't until 1999 that he decided to start painting what he wanted to paint, primarily Japanese tin toy robots. In 2002, after a severe artist block, he watched the movie Pleasantville, where in it, a man paints still-life donuts. With inspiration finally returning, he began painting robots and donuts. Here with us today to talk about his work, Eric Joyner.
All right, thank you again for joining me. I didn't want to make this a conventional interview, so what I've done is I've got both your published books here, Robots and Donuts and Robot Existentialism. So I thought what we could do first is talk about your pieces and the ideas that went into them.
Yeah, ask away.
Okay.
I'm ready.
In between each book, I'll ask questions, but first, let's go over to, I got Train Heist.
With you.
What I got here is an electric yellow train crossing through a valley between a mountain and a forest. Above is a following UFO, flying saucer, and it's abducting people from a train. The saucer is pulling the cars apart.
Yes, it is. This is actually, I intended it not to be a toy train, but it's actually a real train in the Southwest, somewhere in the desert of between New Mexico and California.
Neat.
Yes, and that was my idea.
And then there's a Gears robot walking away on the bottom left-hand side.
Yeah, he escaped.
Okay, I was wondering if he had escaped or if he had witnessed. That makes a lot more sense.
Nope.
I'm wondering if it's a heist, are they stealing people? Is that the heist?
Well, with all my paintings, you can make your own story.
Right.
For me, I don't know where they're going or what's going to happen. They're just being abducted. They may be replaced, examined, and brought back. Or.
So I guess what I'm wondering is just the idea behind it. Like, did you sit down and say, I wonder what a UFO would look like pulling apart a train?
No, I didn't. I just tend to throw things together that I like. I like trains and UFOs and robots. So I also like landscapes.
Okay.
So for me, it's like a challenge and it's like a puzzle, and I'm putting the pieces together.
Okay.
And this is just how it turned out.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's see. Moving on, we got one more over here on page 76. The taunting. Okay, so we got the smoking robot. It's easily recognizable. And what I see here is it's a group of 12, and 2 are tossing donuts above their heads. And I can only assume these are taunting the others. Is this kind of what is happening here?
No, my idea for this one was these donuts are, levitated just above all their reach. And
oh.
They're being taunted. Some power is controlling these things. And all these robots down there can't quite grab them.
Okay, that makes more sense, because in my mind it was like an office party where they were throwing the donuts up in the air.
Nope, it's actually a very tragic painting.
Oh.
I guess a good analogy would be like your goal is just out of reach, but you can see it.
That is a good analogy. I like that.
Thanks.
Okay. As a smoking robot, you got that? You got that robot?
Yeah, that was a gift from one of the writers for The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, nice.
I've since lost its head. He gave that to me over 10 years ago. And
Aw.
A lot of my stuff gets knocked around and broken. I could probably find it if I really searched for it.
It lost its head when it was trying to get to the donuts. Okay, so we got another one And this is two-parter we got on page 140.
Okay.
It's Sunken Treasure, and it's pencil and paint.
Yeah, I went through a phase, I guess that was 2008 maybe, or
Okay.
6, or no, 2008 I think. And I decided to visit the world of the Japanese giant monsters. What are they called? Kaiju?
Kaiju, yep.
Yeah. So, I rented a bunch of movies and watched them, and turns out my favorite one is Mothra. I mean, after the original Godzilla. And so it turns out, you know what I found out after I did a lot of research on this stuff? This guy with the big bulging eyes is actually created by an American named Bob Eggleton.
Really?
Yeah, he's a painter in Rhode Island, in Providence. And he put a lot of science fiction book covers, and he actually won some big awards for that.
Do we know the Kaiju's name?
No, I don't.
Oh, man. Oh.
I remember Gamera and Ghidorah and Godzilla, Mothra.
Yeah, the Gamera, here I am talking Marvel. Gamera, I fell in love with that story kind of humorously, because there was one time I was trying to write and my father was distracting me with a Gamera movie on TV, and every time I looked up from what I was writing, it wasn't Gamera I was seeing, but these little Japanese boys running around in short shorts. I was really confused. I was looking for a giant turtle, but all I could see were these little boys running around. I'm like, what are you watching? On both pages, page 1 is a pencil sketch, and page to the right is paint. And
yeah, and this, a lot of times I do a sketch, but then I realize it's not enough, so I'll add things later in the painting. But this was for a show. I think. Oh yeah, that was a show near Los Angeles, Corey Holford. Yeah, apparently they're two different companies, so you would never see them together in a movie, right?
Okay.
Godzilla and Gamera.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's like fan-made posters here and there, but they're definitely not in the same field. So you pretty much answered my questions even before I asked them on that one.
Huh. Does it seem like Gamera was a turtle to you?
Yeah, Gamera is a super turtle.
It's so hilarious because, I guess the arms would retract and flames would come out. Funny.
It's hilarious. I got to show you sometime. But
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to just say something or you want me to do my introduction thing.
Oh, I mean the painting of Mothra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, after I'd just seen the movie, so I really liked it, and I had to include those two nymphs, the little girls that fly around. They're like the liaison between Mothra, I guess, and the people. Interesting. Yeah, you should see it.
I think I will, because that was one of my major questions was, like, who are these two women?
Yeah, they fly around, and they're, like, bilingual.
Oh, okay. And then Mothra sitting above this giant donut.
Yeah, Mothra's just holding court. And,
oh. Okay, because in my mind, it was like, you know how when you see, like, an eagle up on a tree, you want to stop and take a picture of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was picturing, was like this group of robots and Gamera and whatnot. They were all over here like, let's grab out our cell phones and start taking pictures. But
no, they're actually listening to some very important speech.
So the legend of Mothman is very similar.
Huh.
The legend of Mothman is that Mothman will appear, and it will be like this sign of forecoming danger.
Uh-huh.
And kind of the same deal, it's like it's a message. I didn't ever put the two of them in the same category, though, because one is just like, one's a kaiju and the other one's a cryptid.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think of it the same way, but that's kind of neat.
Totally different, yeah.
Paratroopers.
Got it.
Okay.
Now, the reason I did that is because right before War of the Worlds came out, what was that, 2005 maybe?
It really depends on which one you mean, because...
Spielberg one.
Okay.
Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so I just tried to do a variety of war images, my interpretation, kind of blending my world in with the idea of battle, I guess.
Okay. Because I see it's like 5 visible robots falling with parachutes, and it's among planes and other chutes in the background.
Right.
So just basically during this time you saw that movie, and your entire inspiration or push was war.
Well, I was invited to an art show in Palm Springs.
Okay.
In Modern Gallery, and the theme was War of the Worlds.
That was a theme?
Me and one other person whose name I forget was in the show. Yeah, it was 2-person. I was just starting out, so.
Oh, and you know what? I can't find the donuts.
Yeah, there's not any, now that you mention it.
Every now and then I find a painting of yours that doesn't have a donut, and I'm like, that one is different. I want that on my wall.
A lot of times they're pre-donut, or another instance.
But, you know, I know sometimes you go back and you would, like, paint the same one again. Maybe if you did this one again, you'd put one of the boxes in one of their hands as they're falling.
Right.
I was wondering also how many times you'd go to a painting and redo it, because there's some paintings like, I think it was the one where the snake wraps around the robot. That one, I've seen 2 in the same book, and I was wondering, like, you took that same painting and you just revisited it?
Well, 2 reasons. A, there's something I wish I had done the first time, you know?
Right.
So I try to, an improvement on the original painting. Or B, is because it's so popular and people are throwing money at me to redo it. I always try to change it some, so that I don't like to put out 2 of the same painting.
Right. Yeah, I would hate that too. When it comes to what we publish on Planet Robot, I don't like doing the same thing twice. I hate that.
Yeah. Besides, this field makes me feel bad and it's boring, so I just make sure I improve it somehow.
Okay. Now, we couldn't get through this book without stopping in fall, which is my birthday season, and it's... I've talked to you about this before, I think.
Yeah, that's from a show, I believe, in 2007, where I decided... It was just like a random show, a solo show in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
In a gallery, a now defunct gallery called the Shooting Gallery.
Okay.
It's a huge story behind that. Big disgrace and drug dealing and all kinds of stuff went on. But the guy ran out of town. A lot of artists lost their money, but I only got ripped off a little bit, so it's no big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had a story to it. Like when I was coming into this, I was just, I love the painting. I loved.
Well, thanks. I still have it. It's hanging in my living room. But
your story is that you attended the show and a bunch of artists got ripped off.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get ripped off from that show, but in the following years.
Oh wow.
See, it's like I was in a few group show, one more group show with that guy, and he kind of ripped me off on that one. And he actually gave one of my studies away without asking.
Oh.
And that was kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know what he's doing now. Last I heard, he moved to Portland.
Okay, so this painting was kind of a domino effect then, or?
No, this painting is, I'm always thinking of what to do next, And so during the show, it's just kind of random ideas, and I decided I'll do the 4 seasons. So I did, winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Yep, I see summer right next to it. And so what I love about this painting, it's mainly because it's my birthday month, and I love the season of fall.
So do I. Yeah.
Then there's the colors and the lonely road and this giant robot walking towards the moon.
Yep.
I feel some very strong Iron Giant vibes here, so I had to get that one.
Yeah. I actually want to work on it some more.
Okay.
I might take it down off my wall and prove it.
What do you think you would add to it?
Well, if you were to see the original, it's way too dark.
Oh.
I need to add some light to it, and colors and whatever. So.
It's that dark, ominous vibe. It doesn't really suit you?
Well, for some reason, it looks good on the printed page, whenever I print it, but the original looks dark.
Oh.
Really dark.
I really like it because it feels to me mysterious, like he's looking for something, like there's something more out there, and when I look at it, it kind of takes me down that lonely dirt road.
Thanks. Well, if I was to work on it some more, you wouldn't lose that feeling.
Okay. Better not. I'm holding you to that.
Well, I may never get around to it. It's just something I've been wanting to do for about 10 years.
Never. I've only been wanting to do it for 10 years, but I'll never do it. You actually collect these toy robots.
I do, yeah. But, a lot of times I make it my own. But the thing is, even though I paint these robots, they are very rigid, and they don't do anything I want them to do. So I have to animate them and bring them to life.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed some where they bend in poses that are more human.
But the really old ones don't.
Yeah. But there's so much character to them, too, though. So much character.
As time goes on, I try to, as I come up with more complex ideas, and I'm making them do things they could never do. But, the joints, I'm not an engineer, but I try to fake it.
Have there been any robots that you've painted that you don't actually own?
Oh, yeah. If I see a robot somewhere, and I'll change it somehow. I try to make it my own.
As far as collecting the robots, when did that start? Did that start before you started painting them, or just during the process?
Well, it happened, I think around 1983 when I was in art school.
Okay.
I went to a county fair kind of thing, only it was at the fairgrounds, and it was a vintage show, and they had all kinds of vintage items. I drove out there with my drawing teacher and a couple of friends, and out of the whole, it was a great exhibit, and but I saw a robot there, and it just really stood out. And that was the first one I bought. Then I bought maybe 10 more for the following 10 years. And then around 1999, I decided to really push harder with the fine art and try to become a gallery artist. So I bought more and more of them as I could. I didn't have a lot of money, but I get them on eBay or.
They're expensive. They can be really expensive.
Yeah, I know. But they have a lot of reissued ones that are basically the same style. Yeah, that's the way to go. Because I sort of trash things anyways. I wouldn't want to buy really expensive vintage ones.
Oh yeah, it's one of my goals as a collector is just to get a vintage toy robot, one that's hopefully battery powered and stuff. But
I have maybe 10 or 20 of them.
And I don't know if do you sometimes pose the robots for your paintings?
I do.
Is it for every painting or just specific paintings you'll see?
If it's really close up and there's a lot of detail, then yeah. But other times I'll just kind of fake it.
I was kind of wondering because, you could do it for every painting, but I'm sure there's a point where you're like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I know how to paint this robot.
Oh, exactly. Same goes for donuts, I just make them up for the most part.
Oh, yeah. But they're so unique. Donuts. How could you paint the same one over and over again? That's not possible.
I actually do, but I don't hope nobody's caught on. I've definitely used the same donut over and over from other paintings just because I get lazy.
I don't think it matters so much. There's a nice variety, and I think that's one of the things I noticed when I was picking out your art for my own studio was just that there's so much variety and life in your paintings that I don't see in just everyone's.
I like it's a good challenge, and it's definitely a challenge to keep this whole thing evolving.
In terms of your limited edition signed prints from your website, is it all run by you specifically? Do you have a team to ship it out on your own?
Only every once in a while I'll get some big thing, I don't know, there was a company that got a lot of orders for me, and then I would hire help. But 99% of the time, just me.
Cool.
I have a gigantic oversized printer, and I do total quality control, and I sign a number.
Yeah, it might sound weird, but I'd actually like to see a picture of that printer.
It's called the Epson 9900.
Okay.
And it doesn't use dyes; it uses pigments. So theoretically, the pigments won't fade for 100 years or so.
Oh. Well, that's nifty. When I'm long gone, my paintings will still be fresh and clean on my walls.
The inks cost like $1,200 or more just to change the inks.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. How many times you haven't had to change that too many times, I hope.
Well, it's a very, they run out at different rates, so I can't really tell you, but I spent a lot of money on paper and ink.
I would imagine so. A friend of mine asked this question. They said, have you ever tried or wanted to try working in any other art medium such as 3D printing or sculpting?
Yeah, I would like to. You know, when I was in high school, I did a little sculpting. I wouldn't say I was very good at it, and I never did anything that required armature, so that would be totally new for me.
Okay.
Also, I'm in the process of trying to work with a partner to have the all wrapped up the snake bite painting.
Yes.
Just turned into a vinyl about 9 inches tall.
Yes, I think you did send me a picture of that one time.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting to hear from the guy. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's a huge investment on both of us. So
really?
That's why it might cost like $30,000 a piece.
Whoa.
Because they're going to be hand painted, and it's going to be like 500 of them.
Wow. That would be expensive. Okay. Well, I mean it's so cool. It's cool. I mean, I saw the first one. I don't know. Is that like a prototype?
Oh yeah, they did that. I think they did it without my knowledge and showed it to me in hopes that I would, like a fisherman fishing and putting a lure on a hook. And it didn't quite work, but I was tempted to. That was back in 2012, I guess. I don't know. I'm very cautious when it comes to spending over $20,000 or more. Oh yeah. Also,
I think anyone would be.
I was very busy with the paintings, and they would have eaten up a lot of. Oh, I was going to do Kickstarter.
Okay.
But I'm just not into it. I can't do it. Okay, I'm there.
Okay, so we're at Movers and Shakers. There are more robots here than I can count.
My goal was to do 100,000 robots.
What?
Yeah.
Like, like you woke up one day and just like, I'm going to paint 100,000 robots today.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, man.
It was actually probably the hardest painting I've ever done. Cause
you and I share a very similar attribute, which would be just creative impulses.
Yes.
So like, I have this idea. I'm going to do it.
Yep.
So how do you know like where you ended up?
Oh no, I have no idea how many are there.
You didn't even count. You didn't even bother.
The little dots, they fade off into infinity, kind of, And,
yeah, I mean, I like that. That's
the only reason I was able to do it is because the painting was really large. I think it was like over 60 inches by 50, something like that.
Nuts. Wow.
Maybe 65 by 55, maybe. I don't know.
I see some atomic men, and I see some planet robots. I see some Robbies. B9. I see B9 and Lilliput.
Mm-hmm. There's some Lilliputs in there, and I don't know, smoking robot, maybe.
Oh, yep. Another thing I was wondering was, like, is it just the placement, like, the size of it made it easier being at the base of this volcano, or was there a story for the base of the volcano?
Well, it was just in order to show so many of anything, you have to have a huge flat plane, and I like the setting. I like volcanoes, and no other reason. That kind of gives a story to it. Maybe they're trying to escape before it explodes completely.
My main question was, how did you get the idea for this painting? And you answered it right away with just like, I'm going to paint 100,000 robots. And
yeah, pretty much.
Every time I say it, you laugh, and every time you say it, I laugh, and that's enough for me. So we're going to move on to the next one. If you want to swing by page 110,
I'm there.
I actually have this painting above my media shelf.
Nice, good choice.
It's perfect space for it because it's a longer painting, so it sits perfectly there.
Cool. Yeah, this is my hometown, San Francisco.
And you just wanted to murder everybody.
Murder everybody?
Well, look at the cars falling off of the bridge.
Oh, I know. Yeah. They'll be okay. The sales will just go pick them up.
It's like, hey guys, we're over here. I was just so curious about that scene because I remember specifically hanging this up, and I had my mother over to my apartment, and she was looking up in the space, and she's like, but do you see all these cars falling off the bridge? I said, yes, I did, but I didn't think much of it until you pointed it out.
Yeah, well, I try to think of things logically and realistically what would happen, you know. So that's what would happen.
But I love it too, though. I love it so much. It's like the toys are playing, and
Yeah.
and they're giant, so of course they're going to be doing like something as destructive as this, because it's just, I don't know, I guess in their eyes it would be like a game, because it's a trampoline, and
Yeah, it's the idea of having fun, but you're actually causing trouble somewhere else. You're not being mindful, as they say.
okay, kind of a mindless fun.
Yes, or you don't realize the destruction you're causing.
It's
You're just enjoying yourself, but it's at the cost of what?
It's an innocence, but it's an ignorant innocence, and it's wonderful.
Thanks.
But I just wanted to swing by that one because I have that one above my.
Okay.
And this is another painting I own, which you sent me this one, and I love it.
The Searcher?
Yes, the Searcher.
Okay.
So, real quick, did you use photographs for reference?
Yes, I did.
Because I noticed the lighting was very much like a photograph.
Yes. It's actually a long story.
Oh.
I think I did that. I used to be an illustrator, and I did this canvas. It was for a magazine story, like some kind of a story an article. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Back in I think it was around '88. There was a plane that crashed into the Potomac River in the early '90s, and so they wanted me to do a painting of this plane coming in and hitting a bridge, because those people got saved, and it was in the frozen river.
Wow.
Do you remember? Yeah, it happened a long time ago, but. So anyways, that was just the bridge. This overpass is where I used to live up in Sonoma County.
Okay.
In a town called Petaluma.
Okay.
And so, I just took some photos of this bridge at sunset. This overpass, and there was a truck going over. I thought, well, that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's more lively.
Back in those days, around 1990, I was never got enough illustration work, so I was doing a little bit of playing around, and so I put these two pictures above one another, before and after kind of thing. And then it sat in my, then I've moved it several times, and I unpacked it one day, I think in 2006, or maybe it was 2011, I don't know. And I found it, so I just added the robot.
So, the robot wasn't there at all?
No.
The robot was an afterthought?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love the shot itself, but then the robot in motion.
And you notice how I put these weird lines in it?
Yeah.
Top one, that don't make any sense. That was influenced by an abstract painter called Richard Diebenkorn.
Okay.
He's an American painter, and he's passed away. But and then I started thinking, it also looks like as if you're looking from a car window. You could see the little bit of the glass.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The idea is to break up the space.
But that's what I love so much about it, is because it feels photorealistic.
Thanks.
It's got this eye-catching difference from your other work because of that line. Because that line goes over it in that glass fashion, like you said. It feels like you're looking through a sheet of glass, and to me, I kind of picture it like a camera lens.
Yes, that's North Beach in San Francisco.
Yay, okay. So it's the name of the location. The donut underneath the umbrella and the robot streets, beautifully reflective rain.
Thank you. It's a combination of, we had just come out of a drought, and we got this downpour, so I thought I'd go do some research. So I went around North Beach with my camera. But then I started thinking about kindness, some way I wanted to communicate kindness, so I had this robot shielding a donut from the rain.
Yeah.
They both moved, they're both going somewhere.
And if you think about it, before you've had robots at war with donuts.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the ultimate opposite, if you think about it.
Well, it's life, everything's cyclical.
Yeah.
Something you may not know is there's a cable car in there, really small.
Oh, I see it. It.
It's on a hill, just below the yellow light.
I love the rain puddles because you see the light reflecting from the headlights in the puddles, and then you have the light from the store windows. It all comes together.
I pay attention to stuff like that. Filmmakers do too. you know, like for TV commercials.
Mm-hmm.
The commercials always look better for car ads when the streets are wet. Oh, it's sort of a trick that, you know, artists and filmmakers use. But, it just looks good, reflecting, I don't know why.
This one intrigued me for many reasons. It intrigues me for the lack of donuts. It intrigues me for the use of space and the lack of robots. There's one robot mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my interpretation of this before you tell me what it really is, okay?
Okay.
From this, I can see a post-apocalyptic environment where a single planet robot or Robbie clone is trying to clean and begin anew, or perhaps fulfilling just as it was programmed to do.
Well, that was as good as anything. It was actually started, I think this is the second one I did. First, the idea came from a guy in New York City. There's this old bridge called the High Line. And the trains used to go through there in the warehouse district of New York and collect the merchandise and take it out to the Midwest. But of course, around 65 or 70, trucking took over. And so the trains, it just wasn't economically feasible to use trains to move merchandise. Either that or just factories moved overseas. But anyways, these overpasses they went rusted and unkept for decades, and it became overgrown with grass. And then finally, the people in New York decided to turn a mile of it into a park. It doesn't look like this anymore. It's all cleaned up now, but they tore down most of it, but they kept a mile, and you can still visit it today.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's like that history is why I wanted to bring it up, because I just... sometimes you see a painting or you see a picture and you're just like, there's got to be more to it. There's got to be a heart there that started that painting. Because when I look at this, I give you that weird, crazy story, but my imagination, as you like to do with your art, is send someone's imagination off reeling, and that's basically what happened here. Because I look at this, I see multiple stories.
Yeah, funny how that happens.
But it's also incredible to know the basis of that, though. It's got an origin point, and
yes,
that history should be preserved. So thank you very much for sharing.
Sure. Next time you're in New York, check out, I think it's called the High Line.
You did forget one part of your story, though, the part where the bombs dropped and it all became a nuclear wasteland and the robot was picking up after all the humans that messed everything up. You forgot about that. Do you want to point out any paintings in this book? Is there anything that you want to tell me about that we could talk about, we could share?
How about page 52? It's called The Fairgrounds. And this is the largest painting I ever made. It had to be divided into 4 sections because the person who commissioned it lives in Madrid, Spain.
Wow.
They gave me a little bit of direction. They said, well, just do happy. I only want to see a happy scene at the carnival or at the fair. That was all the direction I got. So then after that, I just did whatever I wanted, and it was fun. It took me, maybe over 6 months, but there was no deadline, so it was such a horrible year, though. It was like the worst of times and the best of times. 2014, I got offered to speak at Brown University, and I got an offer to have a print show in Moscow, Russia, which I did. I did all this stuff, and I traveled to Russia and Spain and France, and also at the very same time, I was really happy. I got audited by the IRS.
Whoa!
And it made everything a nightmare. So, well, I started it before the IRS sent me a letter.
So, it avoided that horrible feeling.
Yeah.
It missed it by just that much.
Mm-hmm.
I can name quite a few of these robots, but one that I want to name above the others is the Cyclops Robot, right there in the center.
Cyclops?
It is.
Oh, yeah, you mean the silver one?
It's considered the Cyclops Robot, sometimes referred to as a trash can.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Very unusual compared to the rest.
Believe it or not, it's actually made by a company that tends to rip off other robot toys.
Oh.
Like, what it would do is, I think I gotta look up their name to say it right, but what they do is they find like other robot toys and they just rip them off to sell those because they know they're popular.
Mm.
Or at least they did when they were around.
Yeah, I tried to turn them on, make some of the lights glow. Yeah, it's too bad that book has a fold right in the middle.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the horrible thing about books. They fold.
You have to buy a print. It's the only way.
Dang. I guess we're going to have to buy this then.
I really want to see it.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious to know, could you express kind of how it felt during that 10-year gap between or before when you started making what you're actually passionate about?
Well, I started doing illustration when I got out of art school. It was way too competitive and horrible situation. And then a lot of my friends were moving into fine art, so I decided I just started too. But you know, it's kind of a. Luckily, I didn't have a family or any mouths to feed, because then I would have been really upset.
Right.
I was just me. And I was able to live on beans for a while.
Oh.
And
is that worse or better than ramen noodles?
Let's see. I would say better.
Oh, okay. Okay. Living on beans. Was that the whole 10-year period was living on beans?
Yes. I think from 1990 to 2002 was really rocky.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember it was your artist block that before Pleasantville. That was kind of...
Oh, that part. Yeah, that only lasted a month.
Okay. But that hit you hard, huh?
I knew something was wrong because I was getting really bored painting these robots.
Oh, wow.
They couldn't make the connection, So, well, I don't. To be honest with you, I'm not that huge of a robot guy. It's more the backgrounds I like. I like the situation and the natural world we live in.
Oh.
So it's like an excuse to do everything else. I put the robot in there to draw interest because nobody would even notice my paintings if I didn't.
Well, to me personally, the robots, they all have these personality and character about them that I feel like when you explore that and you share that with others, that's something that people can connect with.
Yeah, that's I had unconsciously was reflecting, human behavior.
Oh.
Yeah. You can't help but do that. I mean, who else do we have to draw from? Not much.
Yeah, it's the relatable sense in all expression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, and call back anytime.
Oh, we'll do. We'll maybe do a follow-up.
Great.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.